I remember walking on the beach at like 12 a.m. and like nobody's around. There's like nobody for like kilometers. And a cop comes up to me and he's like, "Hey, you gotta go." And I was just thinking like, yeah, I need to go. Like, and not just like off the beach. I meant like out of Toronto. So I left. I went to British Columbia, Canada, west coast of Canada. I had no idea what I was like getting myself into. It blew my mind in like the best way possible. Like it blew all my expectations. You look at a landscape like this, and then a landscape like this, and they're totally different. And one is like a lush rainforest, and one is just like streaks of like orange, and like they're like right next to each other, not like thousands of kilometers off or like in a different continent. These are like within like 30 kilometers of each other, and it just blew my mind.
I mean, if you're into nature and mountains and wildlife, I mean, British Columbia is where it's at. I mean, why go to a place for a vacation when I can just live there?
Oh yeah.
And get away from people. And, yeah.
Trying to even scale how big these giants are, just like it's such an incredible experience, because like you can't really process how big they are, which is like very humbling, because it's like you're like this tiny and you realize just how small you are.
But it's like when you go rock climbing here, or you're in the mountains, like it's problem solving, right? Like you're out there and you need to get from here to here, and you're going to rely on your own intuition and the skills you've developed, and it's really rewarding, and you're at the end you conquer a mountain or whatever. Like, it doesn't have to be that radical, but yeah.
My first time climbing a mountain, I get to the top of this thing and like my boots are all wet, mosquito bites everywhere, like it sucked. But I got to the top of the thing and like it was so worth it. I was like, and I felt so accomplished being at the top as well, because it's like, hey, I just conquered a mountain. Like that's so cool. Like I did it. Like I totally did it. Anyways, I get to the top of this thing and like there's like these giant blue glacier water just wrapping around, and it was like one of the most like beautiful things that I've seen. Yeah, I remember coming down from this thing and like going for a swim in the river, and I always go into water because like I'm from Ontario and I'm always swimming and stuff. And all my friends are like, hey, it's glacier fed, and I didn't think much of it. I'm like, hey, it's the middle of summer, like how cold can this water be? And like a normal person would like dip their toes in the water and like just slowly walk in, but I just like ran straight into this thing and it was like the coldest water I've ever experienced. And I got cold like right to the bone. It sucked, but I turned to the right and I saw like giants in front of me, and just this beautiful sun reflecting off the water, and it didn't matter. I wasn't cold anymore, because somehow the sun sparkling on the river made it a little better. I was cold for the rest of the day though.
it it just puts a new lens and a new filter on the way you look at life, and realize like, oh my God, like it's this, even the scale of these places, like you can't explain it to someone. It's something someone has to experience, because it's just even sitting here, you're just like, whoa,
Yeah.
how big is that mountain? Until you get up there, you realize, wow, this is really, really big. And now I have to get down.
I look back at like a trip like Turner Lake, and that's where like we've had these campsites on top of this giant waterfall, and I think it's like the second largest waterfall in Canada or something crazy like that. And to just be like a 10-minute walk away from that waterfall was just such a surreal experience, and just being at the edge of this thing was so cool, and something that I'll never forget. Like I'll never forget that trip. And there was one moment where like the sun was setting, and like my friend was just like standing there in the water, and like it was such like a simple thing of just like my friend fishing in the water, because he was just standing there waiting for a fish, but somehow it was like one of the most majestic things like I've ever seen. And I think I really found this simple thing is really, really beautiful, and the little moments in life, and like as cool as it is to say that I like conquered a mountain, I think that somehow just seeing my friend standing there in the water was equally as cool and equally as cherished. Yeah, I remember our trip to Calvert Island, and that trip was like a special one, because it was just beautiful white sand beaches, and just I've never been on the ocean for that long. I've been on the ocean for like 30-40 minutes at most, and just being on the ocean for like 3-4 hours, and in total, yeah, being on the ocean for a total of like 7-8 hours was incredible. Just seeing the biodiversity of the ocean and the influence it has on Earth, like it's incredible. It's incredible to realize the immense power that the ocean has, and I always knew it, but just seeing it firsthand was just a different thing in itself. And I remember seeing a jellyfish and thinking to myself, like, how can this thing exist? It looks like a plastic bag, and like I had to get it tattooed on me because of how cool it looked. I was like, oh my god, I need that. So now it's like permanently marked on my skin. one really unique aspect I wanted to really talk about was like just the select few people that I interacted with, because I'm from a big city, and um, I feel like people are so like disposable here. Like people are so disposable. Relationships are so disposable. There's so many people in the city where like my friend for like years can just stop talking to me, and like he'll be totally okay. He'll have like another friend that he can meet like tomorrow, and I met some like really cool people there. One of them was Derek, and this guy was like a 50-year-old, and he's been on like the wildest adventures ever, and the amount of knowledge that he passed on to me is like insane. The amount that he taught me and how to be a better person, and just like things that you can learn from someone that's much older than you. I remember me and him went on a hike, and like he completely smoked me. Like he just like it wasn't even competition. Like he just completely blazed me. He was way farther than I was, and it just goes to show like how much more experience matters. And I'm like a pretty fit person. Like I pride myself in being like a very active person, and to just get smoked by a 50-year-old was like it was it was incredibly humbling. Um, and I think that was like the theme of the summer, is just like really humbling, because when I look out at the night sky and see like millions of stars, I was like, oh, I'm so tiny. And I think there's a sense of freedom in that.
But you know, it's working away and then returning to the city, and in the meantime working away, it's had you, as you know, like flying in planes and flying in helicopters into really remote places, and it's a real privilege to be able to see those areas and to recognize what what a privilege it is, and then to appreciate those experiences, because most people will have never been out of the city or out of wherever, you know.
As beautiful as this place was, like I think the people scaled the beauty by immense amounts. Like everyone was so welcoming there, and everyone was so happy to meet me, and like it's such a change of pace from the city, because like if you go to the city and you ask people, hey, how you doing, like most people would be standoffish and be like, hey, why is that guy talking to me? But it was like the complete opposite. Everyone was so excited to meet you, and I got to know like the person at the grocery store on like a first name basis, and it was good. Like they don't have to be welcoming, because I am an outsider. Like Indigenous people have been living on these lands for thousands of years, and we only recently showed up, and they don't have to be. They don't have to be kind at all, and they don't have to be welcoming, but they were, and they welcomed me with open arms.
This was once a nation of 50,000 people that was knocked back, pretty much, obliterated by white, Europeans coming in, and at its minimum, it was 250 people. Like that is, and for a long time, the various Indigenous groups have been, claiming that, and then what has gone on this year, and the discovery of all these graves and etc., it really lends credence to what they've been, and weight to what they've been saying all along. And
Yeah.
these the other thing I've appreciated about the valley is just this, like, I'm not so naive to believe that it doesn't have its hardships in town like every other reserve. And I mean, the people have been oppressed for so long, but at the same time, like, they've been nothing but welcoming, and it's been really refreshing. And to open up their culture and their hearts to strangers that they don't know, and it's they've got a
Yeah.
story to tell, and it's important. It's a hard discussion that we need to have and
Yeah.
reconcile and look in the mirror and understand, like, no, we ourselves are not responsible for that, but at the same
Yeah.
time, they are an oppressed people and they continue to be oppressed, and it's up to them, for us, to support them and rise them up and give them that pride that they deserve, so yeah, it's been again, not to overuse that word, but it has really been a privilege to have been so accepted and welcomed into these communities, because they don't have to be, especially because of what our ancestors played, the part they played in that, and you would expect them to at the very least be guarded,
Yeah.
and untrusting, but they're anything but. They trust first is their default, and then if you disrespect that or abuse that trust, that's on you. That has nothing to do with them, and
Yeah.
that's pretty amazing.
For sure. Yeah, well, that's the end of those thoughts right there.